Hello everyone and welcome to a really interesting game that took place in the Chess24 Banter Blitz match between Magnus Carlsen and Grandmaster Pepe Cuenca. Now this is round 2. In round 1, Pepe Cuenca defeated his opponent Georgian Grandmaster Levan Pancelaya with a score of 9-0. So Magnus definitely took this match seriously. And this is a game, well, obviously from the match, it's the first game of the match, and it's one where Magnus said that he's just going to try a quick attack, showing little to no respect, as the position allowed it. So without further ado, let's check it out. Magnus opens with d4, with knight to f6 and bishop to g5. He goes for the Trompovsky, and he mentions briefly that he didn't check what Cuenca plays, so that's why he's going to go for a slow line. d5 and knight to d2. Most common is just captures on f6. So knight to d2, we have e6, e3, and now bishop to e7. Just making room for castling. We have c3 and now Cuenca castles. Bishop to d3 by Magnus and b6. Now preparing bishop to b7 and the knight to e4. We have f4 by Magnus, grabbing more control of the e5 square. Bishop to b7, and now Magnus mentions in the video that he decides to capture on f6. He doesn't want to allow the knight to land on e4. So just bishop captures, and the knight g to f3. We have c5 by black and now h4, and already Magnus mentions that maybe some bishop to h7 action is possible here. What he means by this is if black plays something like knight d7, he can sacrifice the bishop on h7, and if king captures, knight g5 will be very strong. The queen can come to h5, and it's a well-known bishop sacrifice where if you go back with the king, then just queen h5, and black will have big difficulties defending this position. If you capture just h captures, you open up the h file for the rook, so you'd have to play something like this, but then you allow queen captures on f7, and then after the king moves, the knight comes to f3, and this is just a very strong position for white, which would of course be winning in the end. So here, even if you allowed it, you would have to go for something like captures, knight g5 check, king h6. And even though this is good for black, in a 3-minute blitz game, it should not be playable, especially not against a strong grandmaster, and especially not against a world chess champion. Your king is stuck on h6, and you will waste a lot of time trying to defend this. So after h4, Cuenca goes for h6. He just defends it. We have g4, preparing g5, and bishop to e7. So if g5 comes, you can advance the pawn to h5. You don't have to worry about your piece being under attack. We have g5 by Magnus, and now h5. Of course, you don't want to open up lines in front of your king, and now knight to e5 and g6 are both excellent moves. Magnus decides to go for g6, and now f captures on g6. If you try f5 to try to keep the position close, just knight e5, and then it's a pretty straightforward victory for white. So after g6, we have f captures on g6, bishop captures on g6, and now knight to d7. We have knight to g5. Again, black doesn't achieve anything by trading here. You just open up the h file for your rook, and then it's just over. So here, knight to f6 adds another defender to the position. You will be controlling the h7 square, which is really important. And also, you're not just allowing the queen to infiltrate with queen captures on h5. And here, Cuenca allows knight captures on e6, but Magnus isn't interested in winning material, since if something like this, then yes, he wins the exchange, but he developed all of black's pieces, and he doesn't want to do that. He prefers to keep the initiative. So bishop captures on h5, and now comes queen to d6, developing, and now the other rook can also come into the game, plus he wants to exchange light square bishops with this maneuver. So bishop to g6, now Magnus makes room for the h-pawn to start marching forward. We have bishop to c6 with the plan of bishop to e8, and now h5. With bishop to e8, and now queen to b1, a nice move that allows white to continue the advancement of the h-pawn, because now the bishop is protected, and you're just going to push here, capture, open up the h-file, and continue in that fashion. Capturing doesn't do anything, as the queen very easily takes the bishop's place, and then just h6. So we have c captures on d4, and now while h6 is possible immediately, you don't want to waste too much time calculating in a 3-minute blitz game. So c captures on d4 and rook to c8. And here it's best for white to just capture on e8, but Magnus decides to push h6 right away, and this allows Pepe Cuenca a very interesting, exchange sacrifice that allows him to stay in the game. So here he plays rook to c1 with check, removes the defender of the bishop on g6, so you have to capture it. Queen captures, and now bishop captures on g6. That's why it was better just capture and then push h6, as you would not have this maneuver. So we have bishop captures on g6, h captures on g7, king captures, and now knight d comes to f3. Magnus also briefly mentions that queen to c7, also playable, where black would have to trade queens, and then you just grab another pawn with check, and then you pick up the queen. You're up the exchange, so you can just go into an endgame, but he goes for this line instead, knight df3. Queen b4 with check, with king to f2, and now knight to g4 with check. King g3, the king is very safe there, and now knight to h6, coming to f5 with check, but here Magnus just plays knight captures on e6, and it was in this position that Pepe Cuenca resigned the game, as there is nothing more he can do here. The rook is under attack. If the king moves, you can pick up the knight, you can come to c7 with the queen, so it's just an unplayable position for black. So this is the first game of the match. Magnus won it, and in the end, after 9 games, the result was 8.5 to half for Magnus. So 1 game was drawn, the other 8 games were won by Magnus. And yes, I don't know if you've heard, but Magnus Carlsen is currently, I don't know if he still is, but today he posted that he is the #1 player in the world in fantasy league football, whatever that is. I don't know, I haven't played it, but sounds like, well, if you're first in anything in the world, that's worth mentioning. So just thought I'd put it in there as well. And also, if you are interested in checking out the other games from this match, I will put a link in the description below with a link to the Chess24 website where you can check it all out. And also, if you want to check out the exact video of Magnus Carlsen's stream, I will also put that in the description, so you can also check that out. So yeah, that's the game. A very nice attack, and it really was a quick attack where a little to no respect was shown. So there we have it. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Rohan Polidano, Matt Beckwith, Scott Incel, Sick GmbH, and Rohan Banchali for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing with the coverage of the, well, FIDE Grand Prix, checking up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world, such as this match here. And do be a part of the subscribers video 2020. It's gonna be awesome. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.